Ever heard of Dr. Miles Monroe? If not, well, here is a short profile. The late Dr. Miles Monroe was a multi-skilled, multi-talented, multiverse, multifaceted individual. He was smart, a leader not only in his own right, but recognized in communities abroad and within the Bahamas where he's locally based. He was also basically a doctor that was bestowed 5 different doctorate degrees from 5 different universities. In addition, he was an author, a speaker, and a leadership consultant. But you may ask yourself, what does that have to do with today's video? Well, that's an easy one, because the author of the book that we are reviewing today is someone that I recognize as the Miles Monroe of the Republic of South Africa. His name is Mahlori Chawane, the author of the 5 Rand University, the ultimate guide to the person that you are meant to be.
Today I see myself and I consider myself as an inspirational educator, an author, a professional public speaker certified by Toastmasters,
yes,
and an environmental professional with an honors degree, currently doing my master's with the University of Pretoria, as well as an entrepreneur building a couple of businesses.
Back in April 2020, shortly after COVID-19 had showed its wings in South Africa, Sister Mahlori contacted me and she told me about an interesting initiative that they were embarking on, an initiative that was meant to basically give hope to people that may be losing hope and people that may be overwhelmed due to this looming COVID-19 pandemic, right?
Speak Kingdom has partnered with the Miracle Perspective to bring an 8-part series which will feature leaders in different spheres of influence, giving their 1 to 2 minute videos on a specific theme or a topic of interest, and giving us insights into how they are dealing with the COVID in that specific arena.
Touching on and addressing life from a holistic nature, right? Where young people were sharing their knowledge as well as their experiences on personal development matters, on financial management, on spirituality, relationships, etc. It was to be broadcasted on a YouTube channel called The Miracle Perspective. I was, or at least I featured on 3 of those videos. The one person that you can rely on at this point in time to work and change the circumstances that this disease and virus has put you in is yourself. Time in our lives when we're unfortunately spiritually weak, spiritually timid, spiritually stationary, and our soul seems so heavy. It's difficult when that happens for us to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Throughout my life's journey, I've come to realize that one of the most important things that contribute to a person's success is the types of relationships and the types of people you have around you. The founder of the Miracle Perspective also happens to be the author of the 5 Rand University. After this initiative, I started watching other videos on his channel. I was inspired by the great work that he was doing, enough so that I started following him on all social media platforms. Feel free to do so as well. One day I actually saw that he said that he was ready to publish his book, right? Now, you know me and the celebration of young black excellence. So I reached out to him and actually pledged 6 books, 5 of which would be donated to 5 deserving young people.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
my brother,
100%.
thanks once again for the purchase of the 6 books. And already I'm planning on some competitions that I'm gonna run for the 5 people to get the 5 books.
He then reciprocated and said that he would also like to help me out in one way or the other. He said that he had seen that I had also started or established my YouTube channel, and he felt that because he has some vast experience in the YouTube space, he'd like to mentor me in some way. So he said that he'd assist me by actually guiding me on how to go about it. So the first thing that he did, he actually sent me a link to his masterclass, which deals specifically on new people that are coming onto the space of YouTube. And then secondly, Osomer, he just decided to just book a 15-minute face-to-face one-on-one online Zoom contact session between me and him, right? Which, by the way, ended up being an hour and 15 minutes and not just the initial 15 minutes that it was meant to be.
What I'm trying to achieve through my YouTube forced me, it dictated how I do things and what I talk about. That's why right now I was happy. I was happy when you defined what I do, when you are like, you are into this whole confidence boosting, helping you find your identity and all of that. I'm like, I finally managed to build a certain brand. That is what you need to get to as you are building up your YouTube channel. Where when someone is thinking, I've got fear, man, fear of starting a business, or I'm held back, who can help me with this? The first name comes Lesiro, because they know you are there to help someone build up their ability to execute and have the confidence to do it. So right now, it tells me that if anybody came to you and be like, I'm looking for a book that can help me boost my confidence, without any doubt, you would recommend my book, because you know that's what I've been advocating.
Needless to say, I now consider him my personal development mentor.
I don't know, do you have any ideas of competitions that I might run to get it out?
Yeah, so it must be something that works well within the theme of your book. You know, with you, it's more self-development, people becoming more confident in who they are, choosing a different path and a perspective on life. So you can ask them, maybe for one, what is a challenge that they'd like to overcome, you know? And how do they think the book, before they even read it, how do they think it will add value, or what do they expect for it to add value? Then you just choose the most compelling story from there. Throughout his speaking engagements, he gave away 2 books. Then he ran a social media competition whereby the other remaining 3 books were then given away to the deserving young people that were ready to be ignited and develop themselves on a personal level.
By the same token, for those who are interested in owning your own copy of the 5 Rand University, I've got an opportunity for you, courtesy to Mr. Chawane with his EnviroSwitch Cares Foundation that donated 5 books and said I can give away to 5 deserving people. So here's the competition. All you gotta do is post on your social media platforms a video of yourself doing something creative around the words the 5 Rand University. For example, you can say, guess which university I'm going to? The 5 Rand University. And post that video on your social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Tag me and put the hashtag the 5 Rand University. And the best video will stand a chance to win a signed copy of the 5 Rand University. We only have 3 copies to give away. So get it up and running and get your book shipped directly to you. Terms and conditions apply.
Now that we are well acquainted as to who Miracle Chawane is, it's time to get into this book review. So now I've already done a book review. I'm also going to review your book, by the way. It's no longer about the bones. Now we jump into the meat and flesh of this book. Let's see what it actually has to offer us. Because when it's all said and done, Miracle himself says, if you don't know who you are as good as an empty container without any substance inside. So let's get straight into it. If you want to talk about boss moves, let's talk about the fact that this book is self-published. Let's give it a horn. Boom, 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 boom. That's a boss move, right? It's self-published through the Miracle Perspective Pty Ltd and the TMP Academy. Again, boom, 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 boom. There's a story behind the cover of the book as well, but I won't get into that. So simply visit his Instagram page or watch some of his interviews to get more detail with particular reference to that. The genre of this book falls under personal development or self-development, as it were. Hence the title, The Ultimate Guide to the Person That You Are Meant to Be. For those that may not know, personal development includes activities that improve awareness and identity, develop talents and potential, build human capital and facilitate employability, enhance quality of life and contribute to the realization of dreams and aspirations. That said, one of the best things that you can do to improve yourself is read. Hence this book review. You can also find a mentor. Hence my earlier mention of me seeing him as my personal development mentor. You can also find someone to train you and push you and coach you into being the best version of yourself. Hence you being encouraged to read the 5 Rand University and its placement in the genre of personal development. In terms of the structure or layout, Miracle takes me back to the days when I was busy writing my dissertation for my master's, right? Because there was a section there that spoke to dedication. Who do you dedicate this piece of work to? These days, you don't find a lot of authors doing that anymore. It used to be prominent with all the books, or all the authors, they used to dedicate and send off those acknowledgements before you even start the book. So Miracle is taking us back in time in this regard. But what's more significant about this particular point is that he dedicates the book to the future. He dedicates it to his wife and child, or children, right? And the fascinating thing is that he doesn't have a wife, nor is he a father at this point in time.
The book is dedicated to my wife and my kids. And you would wonder what that means, because I don't have a wife and I don't have kids. But that goes to show what has happened in my life.
So already you know that we are getting into someone whose mindset is in the right place.
Let me start with the motivation behind the book. The motivation was I got into my very first fight with my dad in Easter this year. I had never ever got into any fight with my dad. When my dad says jump, I ask how high. When my dad says this, I do it all the time, and he's always been my biggest supporter. In everything I did, he's always been my biggest supporter.
The foreword for the book is given by his proud father, who is a pivotal figure into Miracle being the person that he is today.
Overall, the book has 120 pages, each averaging 420 words, with an average 14 words per line and 30 lines per page. There are 11 exceptions to this, which is allowed as it was towards the end of each chapter.
And a few sub-chapters in between, making all of them combined about 21 very palatable chapters.
So in total, he averaged over 46,200 words per full page, and then add 2,310 words for those pages that are half or 3/4 full. And then in total, the estimated total words that he recorded and wrote in this book is 48,510 words.
Okay, let me not get too technical, right? But the great thing about the book is that I read it twice. The first time I just sped through it because it was an easy read, right? And then the second time I took my time with it because I wanted to give this book review as much justice as possible. I wanted to justify my points and get as in detail as possible, and that required for me to basically read it a second time, right? It's laid out quite well, and when reading it in flow state, basically it's easy to understand and comprehend, right? It has a beginning, well structured, and it has an end. Or rather, should I say, it has a beginning and a continuation, because personal development is that. It's a continuous process. The grammar is good, the storytelling is quite compelling, and it's quite a practical book. What makes a person memorable? I'd say that it's the number of compelling stories they're able to tell. or plainly put, it's the ability to tell compelling stories, period. And Mahlori does that so well, so I'd have to give it to him here. He captures your attention from the get-go by sharing the story of how he was named Miracle Mahlori Chawane. That's the first story that you get, and that's the one that sets the pace for the book as you're reading it, which is a very good approach that an author can use.
For most people that know me from home, they know me as Mahlori, meaning miracle. And the story of how that came about is in the book.
He also shares in a compelling story how he actually got to name the book The 5 Rand University, how that actually came about, which is very captivating. His stories will crack you up while teaching you a thing or two. Every lesson has a personal story to it. From, his background not eventually being a stumbling block to his future, to ostracizing bad friends and working on the company that you keep, or to overarching topics such as overcoming fear. Miracle lets you know where he draws his inspiration from, such as his father, his friends, or his coach, people that are close to him. But he also makes use of inspirations outside of his inner circle, and he uses prominent names within the field or sector of personal development. Examples include the Bible, as well as Jim Rohn, Dr. Miles Monroe, Grant Cardone, Rabbi David, amongst many others. This inevitably helps you as the reader resonate more with the message that he's sharing. Just read the book, you'll see the references that I'm talking about. When some of us read books, we basically highlight important parts that are personal to us in the story or book that we're reading, right? For easy reference, particularly when you want to go back to that book. Now, Miracle makes it easier for us. He uses an approach where he bold texts all the important aspects that he thinks you as a reader should be able to want to take away from the book, but should also take away essentially from the book, which is a good approach. Another key approach that Miracle uses is that he engages you as the reader by issuing you with tasks. These tasks then make you a part of his journey while at the same time shaping your journey. One more thing when it comes to his approach. Miracle gives access to further resources. How so? He basically in the book shares links to the TMP Academy. So if there's a specific topic that he discusses in the book and it intrigues you further, then you can use those links to learn more directly from the author, which is a very good approach.
So with that, I also have what I call the TMP Academy, and that is where we teach people and give them the skills they need to thrive in their personal and professional lives. And those are soft skills that include self-confidence, the ability to communicate, and just be a person who knows their value and know how to sell yourself in the marketplace as well as in their personal life.
Now, Miracle touches on a vast array of topics and subjects in the book, which makes sense because by our very nature as human beings, we are all unique, we are all different, we are all vast, there is basically no one shoe fits all approach by any means. So it's quite notable that Mahlori touches on the life of a young person, some of the challenges that that young person is likely to face, but also provides solutions to some of those experiences that a young person will get to experience. And I continuously say young purposefully because at the end of the day, he is a young man that still needs to live and experience more. And therefore, there are more books obviously coming if he is going to be a dedicated author and giving us his perspective on a lot of things. But in this specific book, he touches on topics such as fear, he touches on indecision, he touches on finding and living your purpose, he touches on growing from your mistakes and living in a world where your journey is your journey, to accept. You may get guidance along the way, such as when he was getting guidance, harsh guidance, might I add, from his dad. He took that with a pinch of salt.
It was a huge fight. I started sweating, and it was like a man-to-man kind of talk where my sister tried to intervene, and they're like, yeah, but he's going to do well. He's trying, and wada. My dad told them that if you have nothing productive to say, just keep quiet. Let this be a man-to-man talk. And it didn't end well. To cut the long story short, it ended on, Dad, I respect you. I respect everything you say to me, and I love you as my dad, and I understand that you're saying that out of love. But this time around, I believe I'm on the right track to becoming the person I am meant to be. So allow me to continue with my business ventures.
But went on and said, I need to fulfill my own journey. I need to fulfill my own destiny. And those are just some of the topics that he touches on, the topics that captured me and the topics that I'd like to highlight in this book review. But of course, if you want to know more in terms of other topics that he touches on, then the prerogative is on you, of course, to just buy the book, right? The prerogative is Sehoa. And there's a lot of Sehoa in his book, by the way, but Sehoa. So the prerogative is on you, basically, to just take the step, and possibly, I'm positive that such as it has impacted my life, it's likely to impact yours as well. It's actually not difficult for me to pinpoint exactly what stood out for me in this book. But let me say this. I enjoyed the whole book, right? From end to end. I enjoyed reading it. I enjoyed learning from the author. I enjoyed basically the comedy that was there in the book. But the chapter that did stand out for me is the chapter which is the title of the book, The Ultimate Guide to the Person That You're Meant to Be, which spans over 30 odd pages and covers topics such as who you are, investing in yourself, fixing your character, becoming resourceful, and ultimately finding your purpose. But having said that, it's the honesty for me, guys. It's the honesty that stood out more than anything. Miracle basically Miracle delves into the multiple pyramid schemes that he and his father were involved in, and the pyramid schemes that went bust, and he actually suffered from it. That's pure honesty for me, guys. But having shared those flops, he also shares how they shaped him into becoming the person that he is today, right? So it was critical that he went through that purpose. It was his syllabus. It was his life syllabus to even go through the process of being scammed several times through the pyramid schemes. When I was reading it, I'm like, but my guy, why aren't you learning? But in the end, then I got some context. I got some context from his particular perspective, the miracle perspective. There's also one word that stood out more than any other word in the book for me. I mean, over the 48,000 words that were actually written in that book. And that word is, drum roll please, Godfidence. Godfidence. Want to know why it stood out? Easy, buy the book. Now, if you've seen any of the other book reviews that we have done in this channel, cards above, right? Then you'll know that our intention is never to pin books against each other, nor is it to pin authors against each other. So even if it's a genre one has covered before, even if it's a specialized field that one has covered before, still there will be such rating, right? Because ours is not that. That's not the point of the book reviews. Instead, ours is to promote Black excellence and excellence in general, while sharing knowledge, promoting it as much as possible, and helping you express your best version of yourself in the process. So follow the Miracle Perspective on all social media platforms. Also follow his YouTube channel, The Miracle Perspective. Then you'll get to learn more about him, what he does, and what the book actually has to offer. And inevitably, you will then decide whether it was worth being reviewed on this channel and whether, you know, it will bring value to you and your loved ones. In fact, buy the book for a loved one, for heaven's sake. In conclusion, I'd like to quote from Miracle's own book. The last page, the second last paragraph. And I quote, "As you go through life and interact with others, remember that you don't know who they'll become. So do yourself a favor and treat everyone with respect, not for who they are, but more importantly, for who they are meant to be." Remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share, and keep watching all the content that we bring out on this channel. And as Miracle would say, it's finished. Boom. And what I say, boom, 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 boom. It starts with you. Cheers, guys.